Well, if you know me, RPG Archive, you could probably have a good guess as to what Capcom game I played, and you would be
Ooh.
correct. It is
Monster Hunter
Mega Man
Rise.
X.
Onimusha.
Goof Troop. I played Goof Troop for the Super Nintendo.
Yes!
That was
Yes!
My second guess was Pocahontas, but you know what?
It's close.
You know?
It's close to Pocahontas. It's basically Pocahontas too. I used to play this. We rented this at least 3 times from Blockbuster as kids because I'm a twin, so I always had a second player to play with. So any game that had 2-player was a huge win for us. Never beat it as a kid. I don't know. I guess this was too hard for us. Which now that I've played it now, it has me a little bit worried about about our level of intelligence. Maybe my mom isn't telling us everything. But Goof Troop is a puzzle action game, isometric, where you go through a pirate themed world trying to save. Well, I don't want to spoil it. There's a little spoiler for it, but it follows, Max and Goofy on their little adventure in a tropical paradise. And it's a lot of puzzle and a little bit of combat and a lot of bit of charm, as I think we can all expect from Capcom. Really, really fun game. It's really easy. It's pretty short. But if you're a fan of Goof Troop, which I don't even think we saw Goof Troop as kids, because we didn't have cable or anything, and we didn't really go to movies much. But we knew who Goofy was, so that probably helped. And I think we knew tangentially who Max was, just from like seeing pictures or whatever. But we loved it. And I actually texted my brother that I finally beat it, so we can put that one to rest. So he was really thrilled. There's not a whole lot to say. I mean, it's a surprising amount of block puzzles, which I love block puzzles. I think those are so much fun. So any opportunity I can get to do that, I will take. There's really one weapon in the game. It's the hook shot, which is the greatest weapon ever. Like any Zelda fan will tell you that too. It works similarly. You can like hook onto things and get dragged there. You can hook onto items and it pulls them to you. You can hit enemies with it. It's the perfect item. And then there's a shovel that you can use very sparingly. I think when I saw the use of the shovel, I think I realized like where they cut some corners in the game, because you can only shovel sideways. You can't shovel forward, and I assume they just never wanted to animate it, because you can do everything else in multiple directions, but that one you can't. They probably just were too lazy to animate it. So there's only shoveling sideways. And then there's a bell that's a really interesting concept for a Super Nintendo game, because the bell attracts enemies and it changes their, like how they want to, like if they hear the bell, they start running towards you. And I was really surprised. I forgot that was a mechanic in this game. So you can manipulate the enemies to go in certain ways and then kill them or just bypass them. So like it almost had like stealth elements to it, which was kind of bizarre for a Goof Troop game.
Goofy.
Goofy, use the bell to get past the guards. That was kind of interesting and a really fun take on it, which I never picked up on as a kid. Like that would have just gone over my head. And then there's a candle. In the rare instances, the room is very dark. It helps you see better. I think that was it for. I mean, if you want to count, there's planks, but those are more puzzle items. But that's it. And then there's some really, really inventive bosses. I think Capcom is known for having some really cool boss fights, and this Goof Troop is no exception. There are phenomenal boss fights that have sometimes multiple like layers of action. Like once you get past a certain point, they pick up steam. Really, really inventive, really clever, really fun game. I really recommend it for anybody just looking for a fun couple hours to play Goof Troop. It's a game that didn't need to happen and somehow did, and it is phenomenal. Like they could have just made another side scroller like they've made a million of that are also really good, and I think people would have been happy, but they went with a really creative route, and I think it's a pretty memorable experience.
Yeah, this game always felt like the multiplayer Zeldas to me, like the
Mm,
Triforce Heroes or the Four Swords games,
yeah,
where it's like a multiplayer Zelda dungeon experience almost.
yeah.
Very cool.
I don't think I ever played this one. Is Pluto in the game?
No.
Do you find it weird that two talking dogs have a dog that can't
I
talk as their
I knew
pet?
this was coming.
I mean, it could be some weird government experiment. Like let's get all these animals together and give some of them superhuman powers, and then others will remain just a dog, and then see how they
He's
all
just,
react to it.
he's just a lower class dog. He's not
Yeah,
allowed to speak.
right. Not allowed to speak. I like that.
This was before they got freedom, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the combat like? You said there was a little bit of combat in the game.
It's mostly using the hook shot to stun enemies, and then you can throw pots at them. Kind of like Zelda, you can throw pots at things. Same thing here.
Okay, so you stun him and then pick a pot up and hit him with it.
Yeah. Oh, and they can throw like in the later stages of the game, the enemies can throw pots at you. But if you hold your hands up, you can catch them and then throw them back.
Mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get mode.
Get mode, bitch. That's Goofy says that. It's really weird.
Get mode, bitch.
Yeah.
As far as cartoon games, where do you rank this one?
Oh, this is S tier. It's easy, but it's such a good time, especially with another player. It's a timeless game. I remember playing it as a kid, and I had just as much fun now playing it. I mean, it was a lot easier.
What's the best block puzzle that you experienced recently? This game.
Towards the end, some of them get pretty complicated. So you'll have basically obviously it's a grid. You do the block puzzles are in grids, and you need to get the block onto a certain marked position. And sometimes you're given two blocks and then little things inside of it that you can knock the blocks into. And sometimes towards the end of the game, you had to knock the blocks into each other just to maneuver it. Really, really fun, really creative. I almost wish they just made mini games of just doing the block puzzles, because that would be a fun challenge.
Cool.
Oh, and I remember when I played this 2-player, I only played it by myself this time, but when I used to play it 2-player, if you kicked the blocks into each other, the blocks would explode, and then you could kick the blocks into your teammates and they would die, and it led to many shouting matches between my brother and I.
Mm-hmm.
Stop!
2-player co-op?
Yeah, 2-player co-op.
Nice.
Whole way through. Yeah, it is. I didn't even think about it that way, but it is kind of like a 2-player Zelda game in that way, which is in the Super Nintendo era was pretty crazy.
Goof Troop.
Yeah. Capcom put they made a lot of these Disney games back in the 90s and in the 80s, and they put way more work into them than they should have.
Oh yeah, yeah. They by no means had to do any of this, but they did, and I commend them for it.
Would you hire them to mow your balls?
Oh, absolutely. I would hire Max because he looks like he needs some money.
Hey, keep going. I'll be right back.
Okay.
What you said it was up in the S tier. What other cartoon game would you put up there?
Mickey Mouse, the Illusion, House of Illusion, Castle of
Illusion. Yeah, that one.
That one I remember. Just the art style is so cool, especially for a kid. It's mind blowing to see it in action. Good game. I haven't played DuckTales, but I hear it's really good. So, probably that too. All right.
Cartoon games do you put in S tier, Axel?
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea. That's why I was asking. I was wondering, like where it stands because I've never played Goof Troop. I played DuckTales. I don't think I played Mickey Mouse either, though. I played Lion King.
Castle of
I guess
Illusion is really
those are.
good. On the
Was that on
Genesis.
Super? Oh, Genesis.
Might have been I think it was a Genesis game.
I'm speaking about the Super Nintendo one because I never would have played the Genesis. So I don't know if it's necessarily called that, but there's a Mickey Mouse game on the Super Nintendo that is very nice. I might have misspoken on the title, but I hear. But that's the Castle of Illusion is famous for being pretty good. All right, I'm good to pass it on to Teddy.
Balls in your hands.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them button mappers.